Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
La 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 la, Glenn.
Oh, geez. Hey, you know what? We always say that we should, do outtakes, of what happens behind the scenes.
Right. Because
it's more funnier than, it's more, it's better than what we do on the actual live recording. So just to let everybody know, I'm not even sure how to tell this, but, when we first came into the coffee shop, right, also known as a studio, we have our barista, also known as Brian. He's a phenomenal podcast engineer, audio podcast, video engineer here in Chicagoland. Right. But we call him barista just because it kind of goes with our theme, right? And so we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know how to touch the microphones, and we knew nothing, right?
Yeah, right?
So I'm just watching, and we were cutting from one show to another, and Mikey's doing these hand signals that Brian's in another room, and I don't know where all the video cameras are, but they're all over the place. And it's like Mikey's doing hand signals to Brian, teeing up. And it was just funny. It's just funny the stuff we learned in the last 2.5 years or so.
I know. Has it been 2.5 years already?
Yeah,
right?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a couple of aired a couple episodes. You know what my favorite part is? Getting feedback. I mean, we get some great feedback on.
Man, I love hearing podcasts at Sober.Coffee is our email, and we're all on Instagram. Brian lays them out at the beginning. I forget what they are, but we're on Twitter. We're on Instagram,
and then email. Yeah,
podcast at Sober.Coffee
is real simple to do, and we're on YouTube. You can download the episodes on YouTube. And the other thing, too, is, we associate a writing or a blog with each one of our episodes.
That's powerful, man. That's on our website.
Yeah, there's some good...
Sober.Coffee.com.
Yeah, but it's funny. Going back...
Wait, stop.
No, because that's right.
Sober.Coffee, there's no .com. I was just kidding.
And then writings.
I don't want to send anybody.
But there is... it's funny how you listen to an episode or re-listen to an episode, and there's one thing that was said in there that you can totally unpack. It's just like one gem, and that's what our listeners will come back and say, when you said this, that was really impactful. And so keep it coming, because it helps inspire us.
Let me throw this out off the cuff. Yeah. I didn't get executive committee approval for this.
That's right. Okay, talk to me.
But we're connected to 10,000 people out there, right? And so we got 40,000 listeners. I mean, we could, to that point, right? Let's just call it snippets, right? There's snippets in the show or points, or whatever you want to call them, that are meaningful, right? That we could pull out of the show, and make like an Instagram post.
Yeah.
But you don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it, and we don't want to learn.
Right.
But if somebody out there has talent in that area
and wants to spread the message.
Yeah, wants to spread the message, do some 12-step work.
Right.
I mean, they can get paid the same thing we do.
Right. Well, let's
zero.
Zero. That's right. But no, we're getting an inflation raise. So we're getting an 8% raise over our last year's salary.
So 8% by zero is still what?
That's right.
Zero.
Hey, we got table for 3 today too.
I know. Sorry. Hey, Matt, brother.
Yeah,
sorry, man.
Glenn, Mikey. Glad to be here, man.
What's up, Matt C?
This is awesome.
Our
morning.
banter goes too long sometimes.
You know what? I enjoy watching you guys here. This is a great to be part of it. And you're right. The snippets that I remember day one when your first episode launched, and just the ability of people to absorb what message you guys are sending, and it's because it's not scripted. Okay, everything that you guys have brought to Sober Coffee is real life, real life experiences that we can all relate to.
Right.
And that's why I'm here today. I mean, I thank you guys for inviting me in. But I get a lot out of these episodes, and those snippets I can take, just like in a meeting. I can find one thing that was said and drive off of it.
Yeah, isn't that true? That's the thing. If you're open and willing to listen, you can even. I had a friend of mine tell me you can learn a lot about God even from a bad sermon if you're just paying attention and it drives you back to the book. Right? Same thing with the meeting. Somebody says something. Maybe they're complaining about their wife. Well, to me, when I'm hearing that, I'm saying, well, what does that mean? What does that mean to me? Am I how is my relationship with my wife? I don't know. I think you're right.
So, I really, I love the ability to pull. I love what you said that you can get something great out of a message that sucks.
Right.
And I learned that years ago at a meeting. First of all, when I was sideways during a meeting, what I learned, what people help point out, what I learned is the problem wasn't the meeting. The problem was me and where my headspace was at that particular time. And that's the same with, when I go to church and I hear a sermon I don't like or I don't agree with. That's Glenn's ego. I mean, I've just learned to accept, and say, hey, I'm not liking this. Why am I not liking this? I'm very aware and I've learned to accept. So if I could change gears real quick,
yes.
I'm not even sure what we're talking about today. No, I do, but I'm just kidding. But I just saw our barista, Brian, has a T-shirt on, which I just love. He goes, either you rock or you suck. so I'm focused on rocking today, not sucking.
So
great T-shirt, Brian.
I'm going to try and blend the two conversations together here.
I'm not even sure what we're talking about. So
I think I'm hearing ego. I think that's what we're talking about. Yeah, because I think ego, drove really bad behavior for me for years, and getting my ego in check right now is probably where I put more effort and energy in my life, is because I lived like it was all about me for so many years that I need to. I mean, what's your take on ego? I mean, because you're still struggling. You still struggle with ego on the other side of sobriety, right? I mean, I do. So
yeah.
Am I the rule or the exception?
So I would say ego fueled my alcoholism. Ego was the fuel for my alcoholism.
Matt?
I agree. I think that the bigger my ego was, the more prominent I thought I was, and the more alcohol played a part. I mean, my life in business revolved around entertaining, and the bigger ego was usually the biggest entertainer, and you fill the biggest room. And I think the one thing that I've learned through the program is, man, it's nice not to have those controls, to not want to grab. I don't want to grab the microphone anymore. Thank God there's a stand holding it,
right?
Because I'd probably want to walk down the halls and stuff around the studios. Right. But not having the control and not wanting it, and that starts in the morning.
Right.
I don't want the controls because I know I'm not controlling my life.
Right.
Okay. And with that, right out of the gates, my ego is kind of suppressed, and I've got nobody to impress anymore.
So what's the opposite of ego? Humble?
Yeah, I'd
humility?
say it's humility. I was just jotting down a couple notes. For me, my ego. Well, I'm trying to think how to roll four thoughts at once. My ego led me to build a persona that was bigger and better than I really was. Right? So I was trying to prove to everybody that I was bigger and better than reality. And I think that is a bad equation, right? And that led me to wearing a mask. So when I would go in a situation, I would never be the real Glenn. I would be the Glenn that I thought Matt wanted me to be, or Mike wanted me to be, and I would go to different situations, and I would be a different person in each one, right? And so at the end of the day, right, and I thought my ego is I've got to be in the best in this situation. I've got to deliver in this situation. So I was never real, right? And that's a lot of emotional pressure, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't know who I was, right? So in sobriety, what I learned is, I actually get better value being less than, right? Or not, like I get better value, like early sobriety, I would serve and I'd call my sponsor and brag about serving, and he'd be like, so what? Right. And through the process of sobriety, I find today, A, there's value in being real, And secondly, there's value in being less than. I don't need to drive the bus anymore. I always had to be the bus driver. And I'd be so proud and ego-driven to be the bus driver as I drove it over the bank, right? And now I sit in the back of the bus. And you know, a lot of times today, like I talk about sobriety, but I don't tell people how long I'm sober, right? Because it doesn't matter, right? And you're dogging me because I didn't go get my 8-year coin, right? I didn't want to. I don't need to stand up in front of the room anymore and strut up and get my 8-year coin. I just feel like with money. I mean, I don't tell people if I have money or not, right? And I drive, a 5-year-old car with 160,000 miles, right? And I just don't need to pretend because most of the time it was pretend, or I'm just me today. I'm real, and it. First of all, the emotional weight's not there to be something you're not. And, there's nothing more freeing than say, hey, Matt, I'm having a bad day.
Right.
Mikey, I'm having a bad day. I do that often.
Right, yep.
Hey, I got challenges,
Sure.
But the ego, man, was my number one in this world. I can think back to, Matt, you're a big sports guy. I was king of kickball in elementary school. And I remember third grade, Celeste. I remember kicking a home run, and Celeste was on the sideline cheering. I mean, that fueled how I felt, right? And I'm like, I want more of that. So I kept delivering at that level, and then when I couldn't deliver that level in a certain situation, I would bullshit. And that would be my ego making stuff up to look bigger than I was.
I did see that kickball trophy on your in your office.
I know, man. That was good, man. Celeste kissed it.
Celeste kissed it.
And,
no, I think you know what, and you're exactly right. I think as that ego plays a larger role in each day, you're developing different characters for the people you're in front of. And I've been described as, in my past life, you were a chameleon because you would shed a skin here and you would build a skin here and you would take a different persona. But at the end of the day, it was, how can I be that most grandiose person in the room?
Right.
And not that I would belittle people, but I would just try to overpower it at any expense. And not to have to worry about that now, sit in the back of the bus, whatever. There's days that if I miss the bus, I don't care anymore. I'll run behind it just to catch up, but I don't have to drive it.
Yeah. I was my own publicist. As I was listening to you, you're right. I was my own self-publicist, and I would go out there and tell a story about Mike. Physically, mentally. I used the brochure thing, right? I wrote the brochure. You want to know about Mike? Look at my brochure. I was just that good. But one of the lines I've picked up in the room that I love is to be right-sized, right? So I still need a certain amount of ego, or at least self-confidence in my God-given abilities. But I just need to make sure that I'm right-sized, that I'm not blowing it out of proportion. And that's that was my tendency. No, check that. That is my tendency. My tendency is to blow things out of proportion. But right, Glenn, what you said, it's the emotional weight when you do that. Then you got to catch up with the persona, and it's exhausting. And so I'd rather just be me. It just is takes so much less energy, and that I can expound in different areas.
But your confidence, you said self-confidence. And to accept that and to embrace that and be confident in who you are now and who Mike or Matt or Glenn needs to be to be successful takes a whole different description than it did in the past.
Right.
And again, I'm confident every day I get up that if I do the right things, the end of the day is going to be a hell of a lot easier to rest my head because I know I did the right things.
One of the keys to that is, and I just wrote it down, is for me, I mean, for 50 years, people ask me how I was. Oh, Matt, I'm doing great. Matt just, oh, man, I'm doing fantastic. And I told, just to give you an example, when my daughters were little, I taught them, asked them how they were doing, and I taught them super bumblebee fantastic, right? And so I asked them how they were doing. Oh, Dad, I'm doing super bumblebee fantastic. That's so grandiose to use your word, Matt, right? And what I've learned in sobriety and what I really live off of today is I'm okay. And I always used to say, okay sucks, okay blows, okay's average, okay's mediocre blow. I had all that bullshit sayings. Mm-hmm. What I've learned today is being okay is great. And if I can check the box that say I'm okay, because that fuels my peace. My definition of peace is when everything in my life is okay. Not super bumblebee fantastic, but okay.
So you're not at peace all day, every day.
No.
These are moments.
Yeah. And there's times, no matter what I go through, there's very rare times that I'm not okay. And when I'm not okay, I have tools, man. I deploy my tools that I've learned in AA and learned from my brotherhood in AA. There's stuff I can do to get me okay real quick.
Love it.
Well, Mike, you mentioned, is everything okay every minute of each day? And, life happens.
Yeah,
I can't control, what's outside of my day. And what's in front of me, nor do I want to. But that doesn't stop the impact of, hey, Mike, what happened to your day today? Maybe you had bad news, and you bring it into my world.
Right.
I can't stop that from happening, okay? But, again, my way of dealing with it today is a heck of a lot different than it was back when I was drinking. So Sober Matt handles it differently. There's empathy involved. There's feelings and emotions involved instead of, oh, Mike, you'll get over it. Go leave me alone. I'm too busy for you. Now I take care for the people that are in my life. And that is a whole different world within itself, to feel empathetic towards another human, to feel those raw emotions again, to have emotions compared to the past.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have to pretend anymore. First of all, most people don't care about anything. They just don't care. They don't care if I have 1 year sobriety or 10 years sobriety. They just don't care. Right. We care. I think that's the ego.
Mm-hmm.
So ego deflation is a valuable process to go through.
Ego is not my amigo. Wait, how does that go? Ego is
Dude,
what?
I have never heard of that. Are you kidding me?
Let go of my ego? Oh, that was a commercial. Ego.
Yeah, let go of my Lego. Ego is not my amigo.
Dude, that's great. Did you just make that up?
Pretty much, yeah. No, I heard it somewhere. Are you kidding me?
I know, this is never.
There's a bumper sticker somewhere.
Never original program.
Right,
and hey, frankly, that's one of the things I love about this program. Mm-hmm. It doesn't require original thought.
No, right.
Exactly.
We're just repackaging.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with all this shit, but it's just different, man. Living without an ego, it's just different.
Well, let's go be okay today, okay?
I love being okay, man. Okay is awesome.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for joining us again, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
All
Thanks,
right,
man.
Brother.
Talk soon.
I'll see you, man.
All right.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.